Listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not motivation. It's activation. Your highest reality already exists. Your highest reality is not something you chase. It's not something you earn. And it's not something you force into existence. Again, your highest reality already exists. The only reason you're not living it yet is because you are still resisting what is trying to arrive. The moment you stop trying to make life happen, life begins to move through you. This audiobook is not about becoming someone new. It is about allowing what you already are to finally express itself. When you release control, alignment takes over. When you stop proving, abundance responds. When you allow, reality reorganizes. Over the next few hours, you will not be asked to believe anything. You will be guided to remember. Stay with me, because once you understand this, your highest outcomes don't become possible. They become inevitable. Welcome to a chapter a day. Chapter 1, Stop Chasing. Your highest reality is already active. Stop chasing. That sentence alone can change your life. Because the moment you chase something, you admit unconsciously that it is not here yet. And the moment you believe it is not here yet, you separate yourself from it. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. It is already formed, already active, already responding to you. But chasing collapses the very state required to receive it. Most people don't realize this. They believe effort equals progress. They believe force equals momentum. They believe urgency equals commitment. But that belief is exactly what keeps them stuck. Because nothing arrives while you argue with now. Read that again. Nothing arrives while you argue with now. The moment you mentally fight the present moment, you signal resistance. And resistance slows everything. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. That applies to money, to relationships, to clarity, to purpose, to healing. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. You don't attract what you chase. You repel it. And that's not a punishment. That's precision. Reality responds to your internal state, not your verbal desire. That's the key. Most people say they want abundance, but they live in urgency. They say they want love, but they feel lack. They say they want clarity, but they operate from pressure. It's not about wanting more. It's about allowing alignment. Say this internally as you listen. I allow myself to align with my highest reality. Again, I allow myself to align with my highest reality. That sentence is not passive. It's powerful, because alignment is not chasing. Alignment is resonance. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. Your only task is to stop disrupting the signal. Let's talk about how people disrupt it. They overthink. They push. They force timelines. They obsess over outcomes. They ask, when, instead of asking, who am I being? That's the key. When you chase, you shrink the timeline into a demand. When you allow, time reorganizes around you. Look at real life. Think about relationships. How many times have you seen someone desperately searching for love, dating constantly, checking messages, analyzing every interaction, only to feel exhausted and empty? And then, the moment they stop trying, the moment they relax, the moment they focus on their own alignment, someone appears. Not because the universe was testing them, but because they stopped blocking what was already on its way. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. Money works the same way. You've seen it. Someone grinding endlessly, working harder but feeling poorer, stressed but still stuck. Then something shifts. They let go of desperation. They stop forcing outcomes. They stop chasing money and start aligning with value, clarity, and trust. And suddenly, an opportunity appears. A connection opens. A door unlocks. Not randomly, precisely, because the future they desired was already active. They just stopped interfering. That's the key. Health works this way too. People who obsess over healing often remain tense. And tension keeps the nervous system locked in survival. But when someone releases the fight, when they stop arguing with their body, when they allow rest, trust, and regulation, healing accelerates. Not because effort disappeared, but because resistance did. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. So let's dismantle the lie at the center of chasing. The lie is this: if I don't push, nothing will happen. That belief is outdated. It belongs to a version of you that didn't trust life yet. Force is not discipline. Pressure is not power. Urgency is not alignment. Say this with me internally. It's not about force, it's about frequency. It's not about chasing, it's about allowing. It's not about effort, it's about alignment. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. You cannot chase something that already exists. You can only block or receive it, and receiving requires space. Space in your mind, space in your nervous system, space in your expectations. This is where behavior changes. So let's get practical. What does it mean to stop chasing? It means you stop checking constantly. It means you stop mentally rehearsing lack. It means you stop asking, why isn't it here yet? Because every time you ask that, you reinforce absence. Instead, you practice this discipline. You notice urgency, and you soften it. You notice pressure, and you breathe. You notice force, and you release it. That's the work. It's not about laziness. It's about precision. Say this now. I do not move toward my future. I allow it to move toward me. Again, I do not move toward my future. I allow it to move toward me. That phrase rewires effort-based creation, because action still happens, but it happens from clarity, not panic. Aligned action feels obvious. Forced action feels heavy. That's how you know. When something feels heavy, pause. When something feels clear, move. That's the key. Most people override this signal. They push through heaviness. They call it discipline. But that's not discipline. That's distrust. True discipline is emotional regulation. True discipline is patience without doubt. True discipline is allowing the present moment to be sufficient. Because the moment now is not a problem to solve. It's a platform to receive from. Nothing arrives while you argue with now. Let that land. If you want a different future, you don't fight the present. You align within it. Alignment says, this moment is enough. I am safe now. I am available now. That availability is magnetic. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And patterns respond to consistency, not force. So here's a daily instruction. At least once a day, stop. Notice where you're chasing. Notice where you're gripping. Notice where you're mentally ahead of yourself. And say, I release the chase. I release the grip. I allow myself to align with my highest reality. That's the practice. Because when you stop chasing, you stop leaking energy. You stop sending mixed signals. You become coherent. And coherence collapses timelines. People think manifestation is about visualization. But visualization without regulation is fantasy. Regulation is the gateway. Calm receives faster than urgency ever could. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. But the softer you become, the closer it moves. That's the paradox. You don't chase alignment. You settle into it. You don't hunt the future. You make yourself available to it. Say it again. I do not move toward my future. I allow it to move toward me. Feel the difference. One is exhaustion. The other is trust. One is force. The other is flow. And flow is not random. Flow is ordered intelligence responding to readiness. That's the key. As this chapter closes, let this truth anchor in. Your highest reality is not waiting for your effort. It is waiting for your allowance. You mastered the awareness of chasing. You learned how force collapses alignment. You felt what it means to stop interfering. Now we go deeper. because stopping the chase is only the beginning. Next, you'll learn how to stabilize the state that receives. You stopped pushing. Now let's learn how to remain open. Chapter 2. Allowance is a state, not a technique. Allowance is not something you do. It is something you become. That's the first correction that changes everything. Most people approach allowance like a strategy, like a button they press, like a technique they try for a few days. And when nothing immediately changes, they abandon it. But allowance is not passive. It is not giving up. It is not waiting. Allowance is a regulated internal state, a state of openness, a state of safety, a state of expectation, without strain. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And energetic patterns do not respond to effort. They respond to state. Effort-based manifestation says, if I do enough, think enough, try enough, it will come. State-based creation says, when I become coherent, it arrives. One is force. The other is alignment. Say this internally now. I allow myself to align with my highest reality. Again, I allow myself to align with my highest reality. Feel the difference. Allowance feels like space. Force feels like pressure. And pressure always signals fear. That's the key. Most people don't realize that what they call trying is actually tension. And tension is a message to the nervous system that something is wrong now. But nothing arrives while you argue with now. Allowance begins when the body feels safe before the outcome appears. That's the discipline. It's not about belief. It's not about visualization. It's about regulation. Because a dysregulated system cannot receive expansion. Think about it. If your body feels unsafe, what does it do? It contracts. It scans. It prepares to defend. And contraction blocks flow. Abundance cannot land in a system that is bracing. Love cannot stay in a system that is guarding. Clarity cannot stabilize in a system that is rushing. That's why allowance is a state, not a technique. You cannot fake it. You must settle into it. Say this phrase slowly. When I soften, life accelerates. When I trust, reality responds. Again, when I soften, life accelerates. When I trust, reality responds. That sentence is not poetry. It's physics. Softening removes friction. Trust removes resistance. And resistance is the only thing slowing the pattern down. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. It does not need motivation. It needs permission. So let's talk about the difference between effort-based manifestation and state-based reality creation. Effort-based manifestation is exhausting. It looks like constant affirmations spoken through anxiety. It looks like visualization layered on top of urgency. It looks like doing more because you feel behind. State-based creation looks quieter. It looks like calm expectation. It looks like grounded presence. It looks like knowing without gripping. That's the key. Effort says, I hope this works. State says, this is inevitable. Effort asks, what else should I do? State asks, what can I release? Effort is loud. State is stable. And stability is magnetic. Think about the people in your life who seem to receive easily. They're not frantic. They're not rushed. They're not constantly proving. They expect things to work out. That expectation is allowance. Not arrogance. Not entitlement. Alignment. Because expectation without strain signals readiness. Say it again. When I soften, life accelerates. When I trust, reality responds. This is where most people get uncomfortable. Because allowance requires you to stop performing effort. And if effort has been your identity, letting go feels unsafe. That's why allowance is a regulated state. You must teach your body that safety does not come from control. Safety comes from coherence. So here's a practical instruction. Notice where you're holding tension. Jaw, shoulders, breath, stomach. Those are not random. That's where you're trying to make something happen. And every time you notice it, you soften. Not to get something, but to stop blocking. That's the discipline. It's not about perfection. It's about noticing faster. Allowance is choosing to release pressure in real time. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to allow, allowance happens, because trying is still effort. That's the key. You don't do allowance. You remove interference. You stop bracing. You stop anticipating disappointment. You stop rehearsing failure. You let now be enough. Because now is where reception occurs. Nothing arrives in the future. Everything arrives in the present. So if you are tense now, you block what is trying to arrive now. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, and it is always knocking in the present moment. Allowance is opening the door. Say this internally. I am open without forcing. I am available without tension. I expect without strain. That combination is powerful. Expectation without strain. That's the sweet spot. Most people oscillate between hope and pressure. Allowance is certainty without urgency. And certainty calms the system. That calm tells reality. It's safe to deliver. When I soften, life accelerates. When I trust, reality responds. Say it again. Now let's talk about daily behavior. Allowance shows up in how you move. You stop over-explaining. You stop chasing responses. You stop checking for proof. You act when it feels clean. You rest when it feels heavy. You don't override your signals. That's the discipline. It's not about laziness. It's about coherence. Effort-based creation burns energy. State-based creation multiplies it. That's why aligned people seem energized. They're not forcing life uphill. They're letting gravity work. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. The softer you allow, the faster it moves. That rule never breaks. So let this land deeply. Allowance is not waiting. It is readiness. Allowance is not giving up. It is trusting structure. Allowance is not doing nothing. It is doing less, but doing it from the right state. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, and you are not behind it. You are either aligned with it or interfering with it. That's the only distinction. As this chapter closes, anchor this truth. You don't need more effort. You need more safety. You don't need more techniques. You need a more regulated state. You don't need to chase reality. You need to let it respond. You've learned that allowance is a state. You've felt the difference between force and flow. You've begun to regulate instead of rush. Now we go deeper. Because even when people understand allowance, one thing still blocks them. Their nervous system doesn't feel safe holding more. So next, we address the real gatekeeper. You stabilize the state. Now let's unlock the body. Chapter 3. The nervous system is the gatekeeper of abundance. Here is the truth most people never hear. You cannot receive what your nervous system does not feel safe holding. Not because you are broken, not because you are unworthy, but because your body is designed to protect you. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. But that pattern must pass through your nervous system to become real. And your nervous system has one primary job: safety. Not happiness, not abundance, not success. Safety. If your system does not feel safe with more visibility, more money, more love, more responsibility, more freedom, it will stop it. Automatically, unconsciously, precisely. This is why people self-sabotage right before success. Not because they fear failure, because they fear expansion. That's the key. Expansion changes identity. Expansion changes expectations. Expansion changes how others see you and how you see yourself. And to a nervous system trained in survival, change feels dangerous. So let's dismantle the myth. Self-sabotage is not weakness. It is protection. Your system is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to keep you familiar. Familiar feels safe, even if familiar hurts. That's why people leave relationships just as intimacy deepens. That's why people lose momentum right as money increases. That's why clarity disappears the moment a decision matters. The body says, "This is too much," and it pulls the brakes. That's the key. You don't override this with mindset. You don't force your way through it, because force tells the body, "You are not safe," and nothing arrives while you argue with now. Say this slowly. Safety creates flow. Regulation creates expansion. Again, safety creates flow. Regulation creates expansion. This is not theory. This is biology. When the nervous system feels safe, it opens. When it feels unsafe, it contracts. Contraction blocks reception. Abundance cannot land in contraction. Love cannot stabilize in contraction. Clarity cannot remain in contraction. So if you want to live your highest reality, you must train safety, not chase outcomes. That's the discipline. It's not about desire. It's about capacity. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, but capacity determines access. Think of it like this. You don't pour a gallon of water into a cup and blame the water for spilling. You expand the container. Your nervous system is the container. And expansion must be gradual, regulated, and safe. That's the key. Most people try to jump from stress to success without learning calm. And calm is not laziness. Calm is coherence. So let's talk about how self-sabotage actually shows up. It's subtle. You procrastinate right before finishing. You pick a fight right when things feel good. You doubt yourself right when momentum builds. You suddenly feel tired when opportunity arrives. That's not coincidence. That's your nervous system saying, "This is unfamiliar. This feels unsafe." And if you judge it, you make it worse. Judgment increases threat. Threat increases contraction. So the solution is not pushing harder. The solution is regulation. Say it again. Safety creates flow. Regulation creates expansion. Regulation means teaching your body that more is safe. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Gently. Consistently. Here's how that looks in practice. When something good happens, notice your impulse to rush past it. Pause. Let it land. When you receive praise, don't deflect. Breathe and receive. When money increases, don't immediately increase stress. Stabilize first. When love deepens, don't scan for danger. Stay present. That's training safety. That's expansion. Most people don't realize they sabotage because they don't stay with good sensations. They rush back to baseline. Baseline might be anxious. Baseline might be tense. Baseline might be familiar struggle. But baseline is not destiny. Baseline is trained. That's the key. Your nervous system learns from repetition. If every time something good happens, you tense, your system learns good equals danger. But if every time something good happens, you soften, your system learns good is safe. Say this internally. I allow my body to feel safe with more. Again, I allow my body to feel safe with more. That sentence is powerful, because allowance must include the body. Mindset without somatics collapses under pressure. That's why people know better but still react. Knowledge does not regulate. Safety does. So let's shift the strategy. Instead of asking, "How do I get what I want?" ask, "How safe do I feel having it?" That's the real question. Because the future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And it is not withheld. It is filtered. Filtered through your nervous system. That's the gatekeeper. So when something stalls, don't panic. Stalling is feedback. It's saying, stabilize here. When progress slows, don't force speed. Speed without safety creates collapse. And collapse reinforces fear. That's the cycle. But regulation breaks it. Regulation says, I can go slow and still expand. I can rest and still receive. I can feel calm and still succeed. That rewires everything. Say it again. Safety creates flow. Regulation creates expansion. Now, here's a daily practice. At least once a day, consciously calm your body without trying to fix anything. Slow your breath. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Not to manifest, not to achieve, but to teach safety. Because safety is the foundation of everything you want. Abundance built on stress collapses. Love built on anxiety burns out. Success built on pressure never satisfies. But abundance built on safety compounds. Love built on regulation deepens. Success built on calm sustains. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And it is gentle. It does not rush. It does not force. It arrives when the system can hold it. So stop blaming yourself for resistance. Resistance is information, and information guides training. As this chapter closes, anchor this truth deeply. You do not need to be ready mentally. You need to be safe somatically. You do not need more willpower. You need more regulation. You do not need to chase abundance. You need to become a safe place for it to land. You've learned that allowance is a state. You've learned that safety is the gateway. You've begun expanding capacity instead of forcing outcomes. Now we move to the next layer. Because even when the nervous system begins to regulate, one identity still resists. The identity that believes struggle is required. You stabilize the body. Now let's release the story. Chapter 4. Release the identity that needs to struggle. Here is a truth that may feel uncomfortable at first. Struggle is often an identity, not a requirement. That's the key. Many people believe struggle is necessary for growth, necessary for worth, necessary for success. But that belief is not universal truth. It is conditioning, and conditioning can be released. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And that future does not require your suffering to arrive. But if struggle has become part of who you think you are, ease will feel unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe. So the system resists it. That's the key. Most people are not addicted to pain. They are addicted to meaning. And for many, struggle became the proof that they mattered. Think about it. If you were praised only when you worked hard, if love came after effort, if attention followed sacrifice, your nervous system learned a rule. I am worthy when I struggle. That rule runs quietly, automatically, relentlessly. So when life begins to soften, when things start to flow, when ease appears, the identity panics. Because if struggle disappears, who am I then? That's the moment people unconsciously create problems. Not because they want pain, but because pain feels familiar. That's the key. Struggle becomes a signal of identity. Without it, the mind says, I am disappearing. So it recreates resistance. This is why some people sabotage calm, why they distrust peace, why they feel uncomfortable when things are good. Ease feels undeserved. Flow feels suspicious. But suspicion is learned, and learning can be unlearned. Say this internally now. I no longer need resistance to feel real. Again, I no longer need resistance to feel real. Let that sentence move slowly through you. Because resistance has been doing more than blocking outcomes. It has been reinforcing identity. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. But identity determines whether you allow yourself to live it. If you believe success must hurt, you will unconsciously make it hurt. If you believe love must be earned, you will unconsciously withhold it from yourself. If you believe rest must be justified, you will feel guilty when you slow down. That's the pattern, and patterns persist until questioned. So let's question it now. Ask yourself gently, who would I be without struggle? Notice the reaction. For many, there is fear, emptiness, uncertainty. That reaction tells you something important. Struggle filled space. It gave structure. It gave purpose. It gave direction. So releasing struggle is not about becoming passive. It's about replacing identity. That's the key. You are not losing yourself. You are upgrading your operating system. Say this slowly. It's not about proving, it's about permitting. Again, it's not about proving, it's about permitting. Proving keeps you stuck in effort. Permitting allows alignment. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. It does not require proof. It requires coherence. And coherence happens when identity relaxes. Let's talk about worth. Many people unconsciously believe, if I'm not struggling, I'm not doing enough. But worth is not created through friction. Worth is inherent. And when worth is inherent, effort becomes clean, action becomes inspired, rest becomes productive, movement becomes efficient. That's the difference. Struggle-based action feels heavy. Aligned action feels obvious. Struggle-based action drains. Aligned action energizes. That's the key. So how do you release the identity that needs to struggle? You stop romanticizing resistance. You stop calling exhaustion dedication. You stop calling anxiety ambition. You stop calling burnout commitment. Those labels are outdated. They belong to a version of you that survived. But you are not here to survive anymore. You are here to expand. And expansion requires less resistance, not more. Say this again. I no longer need resistance to feel real. Now, let's look at real-world behavior. Notice when you complicate things. Notice when you choose the harder path out of habit. Notice when you say yes out of obligation instead of alignment. Notice when you delay joy until everything is done. That's struggle identity. And you don't fight it. You thank it, because it kept you alive. But then you release it. Say internally, thank you for protecting me. I choose ease now. That's regulation at the identity level. Because identities don't disappear through force. They dissolve through safety. That's the key. You must feel safe without struggle. Safe being still. Safe being supported. Safe receiving without earning. That's why Chapter 3 mattered. Without nervous system safety, releasing struggle feels like falling. But with regulation, ease feels grounded. So practice this. When something feels easy, don't rush past it. When something works smoothly, don't question it. When rest appears, don't sabotage it. Stay. Let ease be real. Because ease is not laziness. Ease is alignment without resistance. And resistance was never the source of your strength. You were strong despite resistance. Imagine what happens without it. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And that future is not heavy. It is stable. It is clear. It is sustainable. You don't have to suffer to access it. Suffering was a bridge, not a home. Say it one more time. I no longer need resistance to feel real. Feel the relief in that. As this chapter closes, anchor this truth. Struggle is not a badge of honor. It is a habit that can be released. You are not losing your edge. You are gaining precision. You are not becoming passive. You are becoming aligned. You release the need to suffer. You loosen the identity built on resistance. Now we move into action, but a new kind of action. Action without force. Movement without friction. You release struggle. Now let's talk about what replaces it. Chapter 5, Alignment Makes Effort Obsolete. Here is the shift that changes how you move through life. When your internal state matches your desired reality, action becomes natural, obvious, effortless. That's the key. Most people believe effort creates results. But effort only creates friction when the state is wrong. Alignment is what creates momentum. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And that pattern already knows how to move. You don't need to push it. You need to stop blocking it. Effort is what you use when you don't trust alignment yet. Effort is compensation. Alignment is cooperation. Say this internally now. I move when it feels clear. I wait when it feels heavy. Again, I move when it feels clear. I wait when it feels heavy. That mantra alone can save you years of exhaustion. Because clarity is not loud, and force is not clarity. Most people confuse urgency with intuition. But intuition is calm, clean, precise. Force is noisy, scattered, heavy. That's the key. When alignment is present, action does not require motivation. You don't need to convince yourself. You don't need to hype yourself up. You don't need to push past resistance. You simply move. And when alignment is absent, no amount of effort will feel right. That's not laziness. That's intelligence. The body knows. Let's talk about inspired action versus forced action. You've felt both. Forced action feels like dragging yourself forward. Inspired action feels like being pulled. Forced action drains you afterward. Inspired action energizes you. Forced action requires constant reassurance. Inspired action feels self-validating. That's the difference. And the outcome is always different. Think about a time when something just worked. You sent a message without overthinking. You took a step without hesitation. You said yes or no instantly. And it led somewhere unexpected, but right. That was alignment. Now think about a time when you forced something. You chased. You pushed. You insisted. And even if it worked, it cost you peace. That's the pattern. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. It does not require sacrifice of your nervous system. It requires coherence. Alignment removes unnecessary effort. That's why effort becomes obsolete. Not because you stop acting, but because you stop acting against yourself. Say it again. I move when it feels clear. I wait when it feels heavy. Waiting is not stagnation. Waiting is calibration. Most people are terrified of waiting because they equate stillness with falling behind. But stillness is where alignment resets. Nothing arrives while you argue with now. An effort-based action is usually an argument with now. It says, this moment isn't enough. I need to force the next one. Alignment says, this moment is sufficient. The next step will reveal itself. That's the key. Aligned action often looks smaller than forced action. It might be one email instead of 10, one conversation instead of a campaign, one decision instead of constant movement. But small aligned actions outperform massive forced ones every time. Because alignment compounds. Effort depletes. Alignment accumulates. That's why people who live in alignment appear consistent without burnout. They're not doing more. They're doing less, but cleaner. Let's ground this in real life. Someone wants a new career. Forced action looks like applying everywhere, panicking, constantly checking results. Aligned action looks like pausing, clarifying values, noticing what feels expansive, then moving decisively when clarity appears. And when it appears, it's fast. Because clarity collapses hesitation. That's the key. Another example. Relationships. Forced action looks like chasing, over-texting, explaining, proving. Aligned action looks like presence, honesty, space. And space invites connection. Effort repels. Alignment attracts. Money works the same way. Forced action says, I need this to work. Aligned action says, I'm responding to opportunity. Opportunity is subtle. You miss it when you're frantic. That's why calm outperforms hustle long-term. This doesn't mean you never act. It means you act from the right state. Say this now. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what fits. Again, it's not about doing more. It's about doing what fits. Fit feels easy, not because it lacks challenge, but because it lacks internal conflict. Internal conflict is where effort is born. Alignment resolves conflict before action. That's why it feels obvious. Here's a practical instruction. Before any action, check your state. Are you calm or tense? Are you clear or rushed? Are you responding or reacting? If it feels heavy, wait. Waiting is an action. Waiting preserves alignment. And when clarity comes, move fully. No hesitation. No second guessing. That's how aligned people operate. They don't rush beginnings. They don't delay clarity. They trust timing. Because timing is part of the pattern. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And that pattern has rhythm. You don't rush rhythm. You follow it. Effort tries to override rhythm. Alignment listens. That's the key. Many people fear that if they stop forcing, nothing will happen. But look closer. What if forcing has been what slowed things down? What if effort was the delay? Because every time you act from misalignment, you create cleanup, repair, recovery, reorientation. Aligned action rarely needs repair. It lands clean, and clean actions stack. That's why alignment feels efficient. Now let's talk about discipline, because this is where people misunderstand. Alignment does not mean doing whatever feels good. It means doing what feels clear. Sometimes clarity asks you to rest. Sometimes it asks you to speak. Sometimes it asks you to move quickly. But it never asks you to betray yourself. That's the line. Say this again. I move when it feels clear. I wait when it feels heavy. That mantra builds trust. Trust with yourself. Trust with timing. Trust with life. And trust amplifies results. Because when you trust, you don't leak energy into doubt. Doubt drains momentum. Alignment preserves it. As this chapter closes, anchor this truth. You don't need to try harder. You need to listen better. You don't need more effort. You need more alignment. You don't need to force movement. You need to move when the signal is clean. You release struggle. You discovered alignment. You felt the difference between force and flow. Now we go even deeper. Because once alignment is present, desire itself changes meaning. Desire stops being lack and starts becoming guidance. You learned how to move. Now let's understand why you want what you want. Chapter 6. Desire is guidance, not lack. Here is a belief that has quietly shaped your entire life. Desire means I am missing something. That belief is false. And once you release it, everything changes. Desire is not evidence of absence. It is confirmation of availability. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And desire is how that pattern communicates with you. Not to tease you, not to frustrate you, but to guide you. Most people misunderstand desire because they experience it through tension. They feel longing. They feel ache. They feel impatience. And they assume desire means lack. But lack is not inherent in desire. Lack is layered on top by resistance. That's the key. Desire without resistance feels like inspiration. Desire with resistance feels like suffering. Same desire, different state. The moment you believe desire means, I don't have, you create separation. But the truth is simpler. You desire what you are already connected to. Say this internally now. I desire what already desires me. Again, I desire what already desires me. That sentence recalibrates longing. Because desire does not come from emptiness. It comes from resonance. You cannot desire what you have no relationship with. You don't desire random realities. You desire specific states because they are already within your energetic field. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And desire is the echo. It's not pulling you forward. It's calling you home. Think about it. You don't desire to be someone else. You desire to be more fully yourself. You don't desire abundance to escape life. You desire it to express life. You don't desire love to complete you. You desire it to expand you. That's guidance. But when desire is misunderstood, people fight it. They suppress it. They judge it. They try to eliminate it through distraction. Or they obsess over it. Both miss the point. Desire is information, not a problem. Say this now. It's not about wanting more, it's about listening better. Again, it's not about wanting more, it's about listening better. Desire tells you what direction alignment flows, but only if you don't turn it into urgency. Urgency distorts guidance, because urgency says, I don't trust timing, and mistrust blocks reception. Nothing arrives while you argue with now. So let's reframe longing. Longing is not a hole. It is a signal that a future state is already interacting with your present awareness. That's the key. When you feel desire, something is already active. The pattern is already online. Your job is not to chase it. Your job is to stay aligned while it converges. Say it again. I desire what already desires me. That removes desperation, because desperation assumes separation. Alignment assumes relationship, and relationship implies timing, not force. Think about how desire works in everyday life. You suddenly feel drawn to a conversation, or a place, or an idea. You didn't invent that pull. It arrived, and when you follow it calmly, it leads somewhere. That's guidance. But when you grab at it, you lose clarity. That's the pattern. People don't fail because they want too much. They struggle because they misinterpret wanting. They think desire is a demand, but desire is an invitation to become receptive. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, and it does not respond to hunger. It responds to readiness. So here's the discipline. When desire arises, don't suppress it. Don't chase it. Acknowledge it. Say internally, this desire is information. This desire is guidance. This desire is already connected to me. That keeps desire clean. Clean desire inspires action. Distorted desire creates anxiety. That's the key. Many people live in a cycle of wanting and disappointment, not because life is cruel, but because they keep treating desire like lack. So every desire reinforces the belief, I don't have, and the nervous system contracts. But when desire is reframed as availability, the body opens, and opening accelerates convergence. Say it again slowly. I desire what already desires me. Let that soften longing, because longing does not need tension to be powerful. In fact, tension weakens it. The most magnetic desire is calm. It says, I know this is real. I don't need to rush it. I don't need to prove it. That certainty stabilizes the field, and stability attracts. This is why aligned people appear patient without suppressing desire. They want fully without gripping. They allow desire to exist without turning it into pressure. That's mastery. So here's a practical behavior shift. Next time you want something, notice your internal posture. Are you leaning forward mentally? Are you scanning timelines? Are you negotiating with reality? If yes, pause. Return to now. Say, I desire what already desires me. I allow alignment to do the work. That's regulation at the level of longing, because desire does not need effort. It needs trust. Trust that desire would not exist without a corresponding path. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. Desire is how you tune into it, not how you force it. So stop apologizing for wanting. Stop minimizing your desires. Stop labeling them unrealistic. Desire is intelligence. It points toward expansion, but only if you don't turn it into struggle. That's why Chapter 4 mattered. That's why Chapter 5 mattered. Without releasing struggle and effort, desire feels painful. With alignment, desire feels exciting. That's the difference. As this chapter closes, anchor this truth. Desire is not lack. Desire is contact. You are not reaching into emptiness. You are responding to resonance. You don't desire what is unavailable. You desire what is already in relationship with you. Say it one last time. I desire what already desires me. You've reframed wanting. You've softened longing. You've restored desire to guidance. Now we move into timing. Because once desire is clean, something powerful happens. Time begins to collapse. You understand why things happen suddenly. and why waiting was never a delay. You learned how to want without lack. Now let's talk about why things speed up when you stop resisting. Chapter 7. Time collapses when resistance ends. Here is a truth that changes how you understand waiting. Time does not delay outcomes. Resistance does. That's the key. Most people think they are waiting for life to catch up, but life is waiting for alignment to settle. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, and patterns are not bound by linear time. They are bound by coherence. When coherence is present, time collapses. When resistance is present, time stretches. That's why breakthroughs feel sudden, not because they appeared instantly, but because resistance finally ended. Say this slowly. Nothing is late. I was calibrating. Again. Nothing is late. I was calibrating. That sentence dissolves impatience. Because impatience assumes something went wrong. But nothing went wrong. Calibration was happening. Most people misunderstand delay. They think delay means denial. They think delay means punishment. They think delay means failure. But delay is almost always preparation. Preparation of the nervous system. Preparation of identity. Preparation of capacity. Because the moment alignment is achieved, what felt far suddenly feels inevitable. That's the key. You've seen this in real life. Someone struggles for years. Then everything changes in months. People say, "You're so lucky." But luck had nothing to do with it. Alignment did. The moment resistance drops below a threshold, time compresses. Opportunities stack. Connections appear. Decisions become obvious. And it feels like it all happened at once. But it didn't. It happened when you were ready. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. It does not arrive slowly. It arrives completely, but only when you can hold it. That's why letting go accelerates timelines. Letting go removes friction. Friction is what makes movement feel slow. Think about it. Dragging something across sand feels hard. Lifting it off the ground makes it light. Resistance is friction. Alignment is lift. So when people finally release the chase, release the pressure, release the identity that needs struggle, time responds. That's why people say, "I stopped caring, and then it happened." They didn't stop caring. They stopped resisting. That's the key. Caring with tension slows things down. Caring with trust speeds things up. Nothing arrives while you argue with now. And arguing with now looks like this. Checking constantly. Mentally rehearsing disappointment. Negotiating timelines. Comparing yourself to others. Every one of those behaviors stretches time. Because they fragment attention. Fragmentation breaks coherence. Coherence collapses time. That's the physics of it. Say it again. Nothing is late. I was calibrating. Calibration means adjusting frequency. It means refining state. It means stabilizing nervous system, identity, and desire. And calibration cannot be rushed. Because rushing is resistance. That's the paradox. The more you rush, the slower it feels. The more you allow, the faster it moves. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. The softer you become, the closer it comes. That rule has no exceptions. So let's talk about why things appear delayed. They appear delayed because you're measuring from effort instead of alignment. Effort counts time in hours. Alignment counts time in readiness. You might work for years from the wrong state and feel stuck. Then align, and everything moves. Not because life changed. Because you did. That's the key. People often say, "I don't understand why it took so long." But when they look honestly, they see it. They weren't ready to receive without tension. They weren't safe holding expansion. They weren't aligned with ease. So life waited. Not to punish. To protect. Protection looks like delay when you don't understand it. But protection becomes acceleration once alignment is achieved. That's why things feel sudden. Sudden is not fast. Sudden is unblocked. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. And that pattern moves at the speed of safety. Not desire, not effort. Safety. Say this internally now. I trust the timing of alignment. Again, I trust the timing of alignment. That trust removes pressure. Pressure creates distortion. Distortion delays. Trust clarifies. Clarity accelerates. This is why some people meet the right partner right after letting go. Why money arrives after surrendering desperation. Why clarity shows up after stopping the search. The search was the resistance. Letting go was the signal. That's the key. So here's the behavioral instruction. Stop measuring progress by time. Start measuring it by state. Ask yourself, am I calmer than I was? Am I more regulated? Am I less reactive? Am I more present? If yes, you are accelerating, even if nothing has happened yet, because state precedes manifestation, and manifestation follows alignment quickly. That's the sequence. People who panic during calibration slow it down. People who trust during calibration speed it up. Say it again. Nothing is late. I was calibrating. Let that become your default response. When impatience arises, repeat it. When comparison appears, repeat it. When doubt whispers, repeat it. Calibration is not stagnation. Calibration is refinement, and refined signals move faster. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, and it is precise. It does not arrive early. It does not arrive late. It arrives when resistance ends. That's the moment. As this chapter closes, anchor this truth. You were never behind. You were becoming coherent. You were never delayed. You were stabilizing capacity. You were never stuck. You were calibrating alignment. Time did not slow you down. Resistance did. And now that resistance is dissolving, you will notice something change. Momentum returns. Flow increases. Things begin to move. You learned why time collapses. You released the fear of delay. You replaced impatience with trust. Now we move into a deeper law. Because once time collapses, you must understand what reality actually responds to. Not pressure, not demand, permission. You stopped resisting time. Now let's talk about what truly opens the door. Chapter 8. The universe responds to permission, not pressure. Here is a principle that few people fully grasp. The universe does not respond to force. It does not respond to struggle. It does not respond to pressure. It responds to permission. That's the key. Pressure communicates doubt. Pressure screams, I do not trust you. I do not trust life. I do not trust myself. Permission communicates certainty. Permission says, I am aligned. I am ready. I allow what is already here to flow through me. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, but it will not fully express itself while you are arguing, demanding, or trying to control. Say this now. I give life permission to surprise me. Again, I give life permission to surprise me. Repetition anchors this state. Think about it in real life. Many people force outcomes every day. They chase relationships. They hustle for opportunities. They worry about every detail of timing and result. And what happens? They feel stuck. They feel delayed. They feel like the world is conspiring against them. Because resistance creates resistance. Pressure blocks flow. Now consider the opposite. People who give themselves permission. People who stop demanding. People who stop trying to micromanage everything. They receive breakthroughs that feel sudden. Relationships deepen effortlessly. Money arrives in unexpected ways. Health improves when the body is trusted. Why? Because when you give permission, you signal. I trust the energetic pattern. I trust the unfolding. I trust the intelligence of life. That's the key. Permission does not mean passive waiting. It means engaged receptivity. It means, I do my part. I maintain alignment. I trust life to complete the rest. Say it again. I give life permission to surprise me. Notice how those words feel. Permission communicates readiness. Pressure communicates lack. Lack contracts. Readiness expands. Let's anchor this in behavior. The next time you feel yourself demanding an outcome, pause. Notice the internal pressure. Notice the tightness in your body. Notice the mental chatter. Then say internally, I give life permission to surprise me. This shifts the energetic tone. It signals that you are aligned. It signals that you are safe to receive. It signals that resistance is unnecessary. Think about timing again. Nothing is late. Nothing is early. All is responding to your readiness, not your push. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern, and it flows toward you naturally when you stop gripping, stop forcing, and start allowing. People often confuse permission with passivity. They think, if I stop pushing, nothing will happen. But that is the illusion. Pressure slows life down. Permission speeds it up. Imagine a faucet. Force the water, and it splashes everywhere. You lose control. You waste energy. Open the tap gently. You control the flow. The water arrives exactly where it needs to. That's permission. That's aligned action. Now consider how this applies to real-world desire. You want love. You want abundance. You want clarity. If you pressure yourself, it collapses the state that allows reception. If you give permission, it expands the field. Again, repeat with me. I give life permission to surprise me. Notice how this phrase works in multiple layers. Physically, your body relaxes. Mentally, your mind stops arguing with reality. Energetically, the field aligns with your frequency. This is the difference between trying and allowing, between demanding and receiving, between control and flow. Let's look at examples. A person struggling with money keeps chasing opportunities. They force themselves into deals. They push too hard. Results are slow. Another person, after learning to give permission, pauses, aligns, and responds only when clear. Suddenly, deals appear easily. Clients arrive unexpectedly. Unexpected income streams open. Same person, same desire, different approach. The universe does not resist desire. It resists doubt. It resists pressure. Permission is certainty. Certainty expands possibility. Say this again. I give life permission to surprise me. This becomes your default state. It is a practice. Every time you catch yourself forcing, come back to it. Let's close this chapter with clarity. Pressure contracts. Pressure fragments energy. Pressure delays. Permission opens. Permission aligns energy. Permission accelerates timing. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. You do not need to push it into existence. You only need to stop resisting it. You only need to allow it. Say it slowly, fully, with conviction. I give life permission to surprise me. This is your signal to the universe, and more importantly, your signal to yourself. You are safe. You are ready. You are aligned. Now that you understand how permission accelerates reality, we move to the next principle, how to actively embody this energy in every moment. Chapter 9, Become the space where your future can land. Here is a truth that changes everything you think about attraction. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you can hold. That's the key. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. It is fully formed, fully alive. But it can only arrive where there is space to receive it. Say this internally. I am available for my highest reality now. Again, I am available for my highest reality now. Repetition anchors this energetic posture. Most people think attraction is about getting. They think it's about chasing. They think it's about forcing outcomes. But if the container, the self, is not ready, it will spill, distort, or repel. Think about a cup. You cannot pour water into a cup that is full of coffee grounds. No matter how pure the water, it will overflow or become contaminated. Your mind, body, and energy field are the cup. Your future is the water. If your field is full of tension, doubt, or scarcity, the future cannot land. That's the key. You do not become what you want by focusing on lack. You become what you want by expanding into readiness. So let's practice this now. Visualize yourself as a space. Wide, open, calm, stable. Your energy is like a quiet lake, still, reflective, and deep. Every thought that arises is a ripple, but the lake remains undisturbed. Now visualize your desired reality, success, love, abundance, approaching like sunlight. It is drawn to the stillness. It does not land on chaos. It does not land on anxiety. It lands where it can be received fully. Say it again. I am available for my highest reality now. Repeat it slowly. Feel your body soften. Feel your chest expand. Feel the tightness of effort dissolve. This is the energy you cultivate. This is the container you become. People often say, how do I attract love? How do I attract money? How do I attract success? The answer is always the same. Become the space where it can exist. Not by pushing, not by convincing, not by forcing, but by allowing, by softening, by expanding into stability. Here's a real-world example. A person wants financial abundance. They chase opportunities. They stress over timelines. They micromanage. Nothing arrives. Then they pause. They align. They create calm within themselves. They visualize themselves as already capable of holding abundance. Suddenly, opportunities appear. Clients call. Investments flow. Unexpected income arrives. Why? Because they became the space where their future could land. The universe responds to readiness, not desperation. The universe responds to openness, not force. Say this internally. I am available for my highest reality now. Notice how availability feels. It is calm. It is expansive. It is magnetic. You are not creating your future by effort. You are creating your future by alignment, by becoming the field it can exist within. This works for love as well. If you desire a deep connection, you cannot receive it while holding fear. You cannot receive it while trying to control or predict. You must first cultivate space within yourself. Calm, presence, openness, availability. That is how love lands. That is how relationships deepen. That is how partnerships thrive. Say it again. I am available for my highest reality now. This is also true for clarity and purpose. Opportunities do not arrive in a noisy mind. Insights do not emerge in a frantic body. Your highest reality requires spaciousness. Every action you take from that space feels inspired. Every choice you make feels obvious. Every step forward feels effortless. Here's a practice to build this container daily. Pause. Take a deep breath. Visualize the future you desire as already present. Expand internally to hold it. Repeat. I am available for my highest reality now. Do this consistently, and you will notice a shift. Your energy becomes magnetic. The impossible becomes obvious. The future you desire begins to arrive with ease. The tighter you grip, the further it feels. The more space you create, the faster it lands. That's the law. Now notice, availability is not passive. It is active receptivity. It is conscious openness. It is steady, regulated presence that allows life to move into you. So remember, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you can hold. Create space. Release tension. Expand internally. Calm your nervous system. Trust the timing. And repeat. I am available for my highest reality now. Anchor this. Make it your baseline. It is the energetic signature that tells the universe, I am ready. I am safe. I am aligned. I am open. As this chapter closes, know this. Your future will not land where it cannot be held. Your abundance, your love, your clarity, your purpose, all arrive only where there is space to receive them. You've learned to create that space. Next, we go deeper. Because space alone is not enough. You must now understand the subtle art of embodied trust. How to become a living magnet for everything you desire. Chapter 10. Living in Allowance as a Daily Practice. Here is the final truth you must fully integrate. Allowance is not a one-time realization. It is not a single insight or a moment of clarity. Allowance is a daily, moment-to-moment choice. Every breath, every thought, every action. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. You are aligned. You are ready. You have space to receive. But the question is, will you maintain it? Will you allow it in your moments, your hours, your days? That is where mastery lies. Allowance is not passive. It is not weakness. It is strength expressed as ease. When you live in allowance, you move with life, not against it. You release urgency. You release struggle. You release the need to control outcomes. And in that release, expansion occurs naturally. Say it now. I allow. I receive. I expand. Again. I allow. I receive. I expand. Repetition anchors your energetic posture. Living in allowance begins with micro-practices. The first practice, pause. Stop. Take a moment. Notice your breath. Notice your thoughts. Notice the tension in your body. When you pause, you interrupt unconscious resistance. Pause is permission in action. It signals to yourself and to the universe. I am ready. I am open. I am safe to receive. The second practice, breath. Breathing deeply slows the nervous system. It communicates ease. It communicates trust. Say internally, each breath opens me to my highest reality. The third practice, release urgency. Urgency fragments energy. It contracts the field. It convinces you that life is delayed. Instead, repeat, nothing is late. I was calibrating. And feel it. Let it dissolve tightness in your body and mind. The fourth practice, trust timing. Trust is not passive waiting. Trust is conscious alignment with the present moment. Trust is knowing that what is already yours is moving toward you with perfect precision. Say it. I trust the timing of my highest reality. These micro-practices become anchors throughout your day. When tension rises, pause. When doubt whispers, breathe. When desire tugs, remember. I allow. I receive. I expand. The key is consistency, not perfection. Each moment you return to allowance, you reinforce alignment. Each moment you choose trust over pressure, you accelerate convergence. Each moment you expand instead of contracting, you create a fertile field for your future. Now imagine your life as a flowing river. Every micro-practice is a current of allowance. Every repetition strengthens the channel. Every moment of ease deepens the flow. Your reality begins to move effortlessly. Opportunities arrive. Love arrives. Clarity arrives. Abundance arrives. Because the space has been maintained. You are no longer chasing. You are no longer forcing. You are now a living container, steady, open, magnetic. Repeat internally. I allow. I receive. I expand. And again. I allow. I receive. I expand. Let this become your default posture. The future you desire already exists as an energetic pattern. Your daily practice of allowance aligns you with it. Your micro-moments of pause, breath, and trust calibrate you to it. Your release of urgency and tension invites it fully. Allowance is not a technique. It is a lifestyle. It is an identity. It is the way your highest reality expresses itself through you. Notice how effortless this feels when practiced consistently. Notice the magnetism it creates. Notice the joy it brings. And now, you are ready to integrate everything you've learned. From stopping the chase, to cultivating state-based allowance, to regulating your nervous system, to releasing struggle, to aligning action, to reframing desire, to collapsing time, to giving permission, to becoming the space where your future can land. All of it comes together here. Say it slowly, fully, with awareness. I allow. I receive. I expand. Again. I allow. I receive. I expand. This is not a mantra. It is a declaration. It is a commitment. It is the key to living your highest reality daily. Carry it into every conversation. Carry it into every decision. Carry it into every moment of waiting, uncertainty, or challenge. Because allowance is the bridge between the present and your highest reality. You do not need to chase. You do not need to push. You do not need to struggle. You only need to choose allowance, moment by moment, day by day. And when you do, life moves through you effortlessly. Your future is inevitable. Your highest reality is yours. So now repeat one last time. I allow. I receive. I expand. Feel it deep in your body. Feel it in your energy. Feel it as your identity. You are no longer resisting. You are no longer arguing with now. You are no longer trying to force what is already yours. You are the space where your future has always wanted to land. And now, let that truth carry you forward. Closing integration loop. I allow. I receive. I expand. I allow. I receive. I expand. I allow. I receive. I expand. Your highest reality is inevitable. It is already an energetic pattern. It moves toward you naturally. You stop forcing. You trust timing. You create space. You give permission. You become the container. And every day, you live in allowance. That is the practice. That is the transformation. That is the mastery. The future is here. You are ready. You are aligned. You are expansion itself. I allow. I receive. I expand. In closing, you were never blocked. You were never behind. And you were never broken. You were simply holding too tightly. The moment you allow, life steps in. The moment you soften, the path appears. The moment you stop asking when, reality answers now. Your highest reality does not need your effort. It needs your permission. From this moment forward, choose allowance over force. Choose trust over tension. Choose alignment over urgency. And here is your challenge. For the next 24 hours, do not chase a single outcome. Instead, notice what flows toward you when you stop reaching. Because once you live in allowance, your future no longer waits for you. It finds you.